The poem Arrival has been included in the paper Post-Colonial Writings prescribed for second sem MA English of Calicut University. You know that literature is a reflection of the age and society in which it is written. So in order to understand our work, we have to understand the context in which it is written. The Malaysian poet Ee Tiang Hong is not very familiar to the Indian students. So this session introduces the Malaysian poet Ee Tiang Hong and discusses the social and political situations in Malaysia which had a profound impact on the poet as is demonstrated in his poetry. Ee Tiang Hong was one of the most notable of Malaya's first generation writers in English. He had his education in Malacca High School, University of Malaya and the University of Reading in the UK. He devoted himself to education by teaching at the Malacca High School and later became its principal. He also worked as the vice principal of the Malayan Teachers College and as a senior officer in the Ministry of Education, Malaysia. He also worked for some time in the University of Malaya in Kuala Lumpur. Ee Tiang Hong was disturbed, troubled and disillusioned with the racially oppressive political developments in the post-independence Malaysia. He migrated to Australia with his family and settled down in Perth in 1975. He officially became an Australian citizen in the year 1979. He took PhD in education from the University of Western Australia. As a poet, his works concentrate on discrimination, dislocation, exile, identity, and ideas of hope, signifying his own personal journey and condition. He passed away in 1990 due to cancer. His works remain highly influential in the literary landscape of post-colonial, post-independence Malaysia. Malaysia, as you know, has a plural, multi-ethnic background. This nation has been producing literature of caliber for the past few decades, but it is a relative newcomer on the literary world map. Compared to India or Africa, Malaysia has not loomed large on the popular imagination of the world. However, in recent years, Malaysia's economic boom and political stability has allotted it a position of prominence in the global scenario. Malaysia is made up of the Malayan Peninsula and the two states, Sarawak and Sabah. It is an independent constitutional monarchy and was established on September 16, 1963, when Malaya united with Singapore, Sarawak and Sabah. In 1965, Singapore withdrew from Malaysia and became an independent state. In 1966, Sabah and Sarawak were renamed East Malaysia and the Malayan Peninsula was renamed West Malaysia. The Malay Peninsula and the surrounding islands appeared in some writings of the British. Many who worked in British administrative services wrote about the adventures and misadventures in the jungles of Malaya and Borneo. Malaysians had for some time read about themselves in the writings of others, mainly British and the colonial, the foreign authors. Malayan traditional literature reached the public mainly in the form of stage plays and shadow plays. Contemporary Malayan literature is identified with the author and is presented in the written form. The three distinct races in multicultural Malaysia are the Malays, the Chinese and the Indians. And there are numerous smaller ethnic groups as well. To trace the development of a multicultural society like Malaysia, one has to revert to the past. The Malaya archipelago had for hundreds of years been part of a complex trading network from Africa to China. Being situated on the convergence of two major sea routes, It was linked to the African and the Chinese markets. And it had trade relations with India from 2nd century BC. It continued till 1511 until the Portuguese invaded the country. They were the first Europeans to arrive in Malaysia. Malaysia came under British rule in 1795. Malaysia was rich in natural resources and had plantations of coconut, rubber and pepper, which were owned by the Europeans and operated by the Chinese. The British colonialist policies favored immigration from China and India. The immigration from China was mainly due to the political conflicts and overpopulation in the country. When they came to Malaysia, they brought with them the religion which had elements of Buddhism, Taoism and Confucianism. And they used different dialects of Cantonese and Hokkien, which were dialects of South China. The Indian immigrants were mainly from South India. They were unskilled laborers and they belonged to the low caste. Later, these people from North India also came as immigrants and started business firms, and some of them worked in paramilitary forces. They turned the country into a multi-racial country. They turned Malaysia into a multi-racial country. And the British thought that these immigrants would have no plans to settle in the country. But the Japanese occupation, even though for a short time, had a lasting impact on the society because the immigrants turned settlers and they outnumbered the Malays. The British, as in their other colonies, adopted a policy of divide and rule and employed the Chinese and the Indians at different wages so as to avoid collective bargaining. Malaysia was declared a nation after it got its independence in the year 1957 with the setting up of political situations that completely favored the Malays. Malay was declared as the official language and there were certain rights and privileges that were exclusively enjoyed by the Malays. The Malay domination led to dissatisfaction among other ethnic groups. And the ethnic riots in Kuala Lumpur in 1969 was a turning point in the history of Malaysia when countless Indians and Chinese were killed. On the one hand, the riots irrevocably hardened the conflict between Malays and non-Malays. On the other hand, the non-Malays showed a complete distrust of the government after realizing that it failed to give them sufficient protection. The post-independence period witnessed speedy development in various fields. The government decided to bring up Malay involvement in economic sector. The Chinese wanted more political representation. The government applied various measures to integrate various ethnic constituents and instill in them with a sense of common identity. The government promoted the greater use of the Malay language. Religious freedom was emphasized even though Islam was accorded the status of official religion as prescribed by the federal constitution. As a matter of fact, in the progress and development of Malaysia, priority had always been placed on the constitutional emphasis of Islam and the Malays. This created tension among various ethnic groups. The Malay-Chinese conflict had been attributed to an unequal distribution of resources, economic imbalance, and ethnic revolutionary threats. Besides economic and political competition, the Chinese loyalty to their place of inhabitation was often questioned by the Malays. Even the Chinese themselves displayed considerable divisiveness. They represented different clans and dialects. A section of the Chinese believed that money and organization were the roots of all politics, and they had both. This was the Chinese group which had been satirized in Yee's later poetry. The poem Arrival will be discussed in the next session. Thank you.